What's going on, everybody? We are back for another episode of the ABJ Podcast, episode 89, with one of my favorite people. I say it every episode, but I handpicked a lot of these this season. Obviously, it's my content, and this is the one I'm very happy for because he doesn't do a lot of podcasts. So I'm very, very thankful that I got Weber Hatfield here today. Make sure you check out the links below for all things ABJ, whether it be merchandise, follow me on social media, Patreon, so you can get these episodes earlier than everybody else, joining us on the Discord, joining us in the Facebook communities, Instagram community thing I don't know, but join it all, hang out. Let's get more content. A lot of fun stuff happening this season. We're getting closer and closer as the year goes on to hitting that 100 mark. And I'm telling you, if you thought these episodes have been good, just wait. There's still so much more to come. Also, make sure you hit the links below so you can follow my guests tonight. Find out their social medias and ways to support, whether it be merch pages or where you can see them at upcoming shows. That's pretty much all I got sponsorship wise. If you just want to sponsor the ABJ podcast, hit me up. Or if you want to be a guest, all guest spots will be reserved for next season, which will be at the end of the beginning of 2024. This is open to not just professional wrestlers, musicians, artists, people with a story. Hit me up. I'd love to have you on, and let's continue the journey here and hearing more people's stories. But without further ado, let me bring in my guest tonight for episode 89, Weber Hatfield. There it is. First thing first. So when I first met you, you donned the mask.
I donned the mask,
and I was very new to the behind the curtain or the other side of the guardrail. I was a fan forever, and then became someone who helped with production and the whole nine. And I remember the first thing I thought of going to wrestling shows was, why is everyone in masks just handsome? Everyone's good looking under masks, are pretty, are good, just pretty human beings, and you're all hiding under masks.
Well, I mean, the really good looking ones take the masks off, and the ones not good looking keep the masks on. Green hand.
Green hand. Jesus, shots fired. That's true. Hideous, terrible. No,
he super kicked me in the face the other day, so I'm not happy with him.
He what?
He super kicked me in the face the other day.
So he sucks then. Not cool. But I remember the first one that I seen under the mask, Whisper, but he still hasn't taken that one off. And then Max Zero took his mask off, and then everyone it was Handsome Max. And then you were the kind of the next one to take the mask off. I think you should be more Handsome Weber. You know what I mean? I don't understand how that didn't get attached to you as well. I think you got ripped off.
I mean, he already took the handsome gimmick. I'm not gonna really just oh, you want good looking? Yeah, a lot of people have good looking gimmick. I've just had I'm a guy that took the mask off.
But I'm glad you did. I remember you doing the promo photos, and I was like, I was at H2O, and I was like, what are you doing? He's like,
yeah.
Coming off soon. And I was like, I was excited.
That was 3 months in advance of it. And I'm just and people are like, you're just like, what are you doing? I'm just I'm just feeling it out, someday I might decide it. And then I already had the story plan in mind, how I was going to lose the mask. So I was just what's it look like? Just
how was it after going so long in a career with the mask and developing all that to finally take it off?
So, I mean, after Chikara, there's this thing with everybody thinks Quack had control over our gimmicks, which was never a thing. So it was a lot of people were after Chikara went away, changed their gimmick, did this stuff like that, renamed themselves, did something different. I stayed the same character, I stayed Boomer, and Shay stayed Molly for a while. So we just kind of continued those characters, and it was it never felt. I was always trying to find the right time, the right way to take the mask off. It was always a meaningful way. I wanted to. I enjoyed the mask. I love the mask. I still have 4 of them with me. I'm never going to sell them. And I really enjoyed my time being Boomer and playing that character. But it was it always came with this oh, you are the you're still part of this storyline, Chikara storyline, which we wanted to finish, and we did outside of we continued the storyline and Camp Leap Frog and Pizza Party. That's where we finished it. So it felt good to kind of just complete the story that we set out to do, in our own way, because we wrote the second half of the story. Like, we did what we wanted to do. It wasn't somebody else writing the story. So we finished the story and then take the mask off, and we're just like, now I can do different things, but like also kind of the same things. I didn't really change much about my character and how I do things. I didn't change my moves. I didn't make myself a shooter or anything like that. It's just like, just like now I'm just able to like kind of like be myself a little bit more. Be more expressive. I felt way more comfortable doing promos without my mask on, because I never felt natural talking or emoting or doing anything, because I like, that's the thing with masks too. It's like, you learn to do promos in a different way, like with your bodies, and I was always pretty decent at that. Like, I just like never felt comfortable talking with the mask on. So as soon as I took that off, I was like, oh, cool. Now I just feel natural, but also I'm exposed. So it's like. I roundabout answered your question, right? I believe.
No, I love it. I love that was a great answer. But I agree with you too. Like, from watching you do promos and seeing who you were underneath the mask and then with the mask, I was like, man, if the day you ever take that off, like, I think it's gonna be a home run. No pun intended. But because I think you and Shay are just so wildly entertaining together. Like, so many times we did promos for Camp Leapfrog, and I was like, I am getting always sunny vibes every single promo. Like, like, it was just good. They're always really good. But seeing your face and seeing like the things that the cameras aren't picking up of you trying to emote more, and now that it's not there, I can definitely see where you're coming from in that aspect. Who made your masks?
I am naturally more of like just a very emotive, very expressive person. So like having the mask on, like, again, like forced me to be more creative in terms of like body acting, but like taking the mask off, I felt like kind of just an explosion of emotion behavior.
Who created your masks or made them?
So Closet Champion, Kate Nix, created my masks, and original gear. But then, she did every version of my mask, her and Ophidia. Yeah.
Nice. See that? So there's a few masks on the independent scene that I would never ask to buy, right? But I would be like, can you get a clone made of, like, that's why I always think that's a missed opportunity. Your mask is definitely one that I would like to have like a copy of so whoever made it, and Ultramanus. I think that'd be a cool, or like Hollow Wicked, like those masks would be cool to have like a replica of, not the originals, but like, go to their mask maker and have one made up. So I was like, that's always been in the back of my mind, is like, how does one go about that? Is that like a missed opportunity in merch? Is that something you thought about, making like versions of it to sell out?
I did think about that, and going back to Green End, he was like, why are you doing this? Like, because he made his own mask. It was easy for him. I'm like, I don't have the money to just make masks and stuff. Yeah. And like,
the one who really turned it for me,
want decent quality. So it's like,
the one who really opened the idea for me, and I was like, man, I would really love to have one of these masks. And it's probably still one, when I start getting some money that I'm not buying equipment all the time, I would definitely buy, is Lindsay. Lindsay makes, like, him just like making his own masks, and his merch table is like, he has low quality ones for like $40-$50 that you can buy.
Yeah.
And then he has like
luchador style.
Yeah. The $400 ones that he like handmade, that he were in ring, like, because he's super creative when it comes to that too. Former Chikara guy as well, but that, like, his masks always super cool. Like, I just love that aspect of that. Like, the masked wrestler is like, after they unveil, it's like, would you want a piece of my character history? But it's got to feel cool that people would want that part of your character history as well, like to own a version of your mask at one point in time.
Well, Dasher used to, he would tell me on occasion he would buy like a bucket of baseballs, and he would sign the baseballs, and he would just sell those for $5. That's a great idea. It's like, I'm like, I should have done that, but I didn't stick with the baseball gimmick. Again, it's funny, when I got the gimmick, I go to Quack and I'm like, like, I actually really like baseball, right? And he's like, oh, I knew. I'm like, you had no fucking clue, but I will be very good at this gimmick because I know all the sports references that you have no idea. The guy knew nothing about sports, and he had a bunch of sports gimmicks, but I was like, I was made for this fucking gimmick.
Speaking of, your Phillies are doing pretty cool stuff right now.
It's on right over here.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you doing the interview now, definitely.
Oh,
But
we already clinched. We're good. So we're
yeah,
good.
changing the name. How did you go about that, and how did you land on Weber?
So Weber obviously sounds baseball-y. I wanted to keep doing that. Like I love that part of the gimmick itself because again, I am a natural organic baseball fan. So I just
For Web, is that like the Web of the glove? Is that what you're
yeah,
going
yeah,
with
yeah,
that?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I went through like that's how I narrowed down to it. But like I picked a bunch of names. I went through a list. Me and Molly kind of like really like scoured for names and stuff like that. And eventually I found that name. I used to have a neighbor that was her last name. And I'm like, that's a cool name. Is that a first name? And I'm like, yes, that's a first name. And I'm like, I think that would be really cool because I wanted to keep Hatfield. Because again, I didn't want to throw away the entire lineage or gimmick or anything like that. So and Weber, I just really liked it. I think it rolled off the tongue really well. But like that was my go-to. Originally, I was going to go with Benjamin. I liked Benjamin because I liked the alliteration of BB or keeping BH. That's why I liked
And
it.
it's still very Philly too.
Yeah. And eventually I was like, nah, it kind of doesn't roll off the tongue as well. So eventually I came to Weber and I really liked it. So
Yeah, I love it as well. It was a good change. So how growing up, when did you fall in love with professional wrestling? When did it become a part of your lexicon or your obsession, like becoming a fan as a kid, or at what age did you become a fan?
So growing up in the 1930s, I just really got. I maintained the illusion that I'm over 100 years old.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, I had grade school friends who were just like loved this wrestling thing, and I knew nothing about it, and they just got me into it. As soon as they all got out of it, that's when I got into it. So I was the only one at school that liked wrestling. I was very uncool. And I got into it, and I finally found one other guy who still liked wrestling, and then we just became best friends. And that carried on to high school. I did like high school wrestling. It was nothing like the pro wrestling stuff, which was fun. And then into college, and then college got hard, and I lost cable, so I stopped watching wrestling for a long time. So that was probably in 2008. So right when like WWE did like the ECW thing,
Yeah.
I didn't see any of that. Like that's basically like when the cutoff for me was. And then it kind of disappeared from me for a while until 2016 ish, I think. WrestleMania 32. I think that's spread about WrestleMania 32.
Okay.
I got back into it, just randomly, just turned it on, and I'm like, oh, I remember everything about wrestling. And like some of the people that I watched were still on TV. And then there's all these new people. And my wife, girlfriend at the time, really liked Becky Lynch. So I'm like, cool. Like my wife's getting into it, and we just started watching it. And then 1 year later, I just decide to sign up for wrestling classes. I met a guy at my gym who trained at the Wrestle Factory, Chikara Wrestle Factory. And I was like, he was wearing a T-shirt that said Wrestle Factory on it. And I was like, oh, what's that? You know, what's that like? And he tells me this thing, and I'm like, there's this free wrestling class, and I'm like, I'll try that. That's fun. That could be.
It's
fun.
funny how every single story so far of people from that school that I've interviewed this season are all like, I really casted on that free class.
Yeah. Well, it's free, and then you got a discount. You got a discount for doing the free class and signing up for the 101. So you got a $50 discount. So that really rings you in a little bit. And then I did that. I was the only one who passed my 101. I got into my 201. I was the only one who passed my 201. And Q gave me like he was like, you want to sign up for core? And I'm like, nah. He's like, I'll give you a discount. I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. Because I had already paid for 101, 201. And he's like, well, we'll count those to your tuition. I'm like, all right, done. I'm in. It's cool. I'm just saving money left and right. So then I just kind of got pulled into it and shenanigans.
So what are some of your fond memories of going through school there and meeting some of the people at that school? Because so much great minds and great talent out of that program.
Fond memories are just some of the crazy classes we would do. Just the in-between moments, like, you learn the cool wrestling, you learn the cool moves, you learn the stuff like that. But like anytime you have conversations are more about like character work, psychology work, and the in-between moments where everybody's just kind of like relaxed and having fun. Those are like the stuff that really stuck with me. Those are the people I bonded with and kind of went through the trenches with. And like I would say like it's more like that. Those are the best memories that I have. I learned a cool move or a cool sequence, sure, but it's just like the friend building, the character building, personal character building. Kind of going through that, I think was the best part.
Donning a mask and going under that role and having to learn how to you were saying before, express emotion and be that character, but also hide most of it under a mask. Who are some people that you leaned on heavily at Chikara to help you develop that?
Hollow Wicked, for sure. Fire Ant, Hollow Wicked. Just, I mean, like there was a plethora of people. Boar, great. Great mind for wrestling and great loves being under the mask and stuff like that. Loves his character so much. Hollow Wicked, obviously, like Frightmare. Just guys like people I worked really early with. Like the idea was like pair rookies with veterans, and so like those are the guys I worked with a lot in the beginning. I would say like definitely I picked up a lot of stuff working with those guys. And Hollow Wicked had a class too. So like I could work with him once a week about all of that stuff. So he's very accessible. And I would say like he probably gave me the best, the most best advice, best experience while I was there. And while with Jakar in general, yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, the minds out of that place. What made it cool for me is just I didn't really know about it. Like I didn't know the Chikara stuff at all because I started the podcast. I started learning the independent scene and then immediately started helping with production and stuff because I had the equipment. And then I met the high tension team and like then found out where you all came from and who you were trained by and people you worked with, and then learned about it. And I was like, that's 90% of TV. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and then I started doing like the back.
And some of those people should be on TV. Those Lace ice cream. Why aren't they on television?
Yeah, exactly. But and then I started falling more in love with the past of it. Like it was conflicting because obviously it didn't end great. There's a stigma of that. But also like it was also at a point where it's like, well, I'm not gonna look into that. Like not look into it, but I'm not gonna glorify it. But also I'm gonna look at like the amazing abilities and talent that have come out of that and the hard work that put into it to see where somebody is now. Almost like looking at it in that aspect. And it was just, I don't know, it's such a bright spot to see like most of that high tension Camp Leapfrog roster was from there. And just, I was just so blown away by how insanely talented this independent wrestling scene is because of that group of people.
Thank you.
Yeah. So going through your classes, how long before you got first matches or got to work the scene?
So I got, trying to timeline it. So I got my character 5 months after I started training. 5 months after I joined like the core training program. There's the 101s, the 201s, but then you like join like the core system. About 5 months after that, I got a character. So, but the idea of the character was I'm wearing a mask, but I'm still a student. But also like in the background, like you could see like on Chikara shows, you can see like students in the background doing stuff. So I would wear my mask and just do the regular production stuff. So I'd be like running cables or doing social media or hard cam or something like that. You just see a little guy running around in like a Dasher Hatfield mask, and you're like, who's this character? And about, I got hurt during that period. I tore my MCL for a minute. I had no idea how much that affected my timeline in terms of debut. But I did debut 1 year basically after I started training. And then I was just kind of thrown to the wolves, just start wrestling. And it's, I did okay. I was athletic enough to like, just kind of like be able to do the basic stuff pretty competently and just kind of like kept my head up when things went down or things went wrong. Just like tried to maintain a positive attitude towards everything, and it just kind of like helped me kind of like keep going. And just kept grinding throughout that first couple years to the point, and then kind of got thrown to the wolves when our main stream of wrestling kind of disappeared. So just kind of figure out our own stuff.
Yeah. When you get given your character and you're going to be, part of the Hatfield name, and you see you're going to be working with Dasher, who at the end of the day, I mean, you look at that character and you're like, they threw everything at him. Like, you're going to be this character, then this character, then this character.
Yeah.
Like, when you think of character development or how to get a character over, that's a person you look at, because they change it all the time, and he's still got some of the most wackiest shit over because he's talented. When you know you're going to be young in your career and you're going to be partnered with someone like that, is that a confidence build? Is that like, okay, I have like, it makes it more comfortable knowing that you're working with somebody that you can lean on, or you're like, oh, I'm in over my head because he's so talented and I'm not sure where I stand yet?
No, honestly, I thought it was a boost. Like, I thought it was like a blessing that I was partnered with him, and like given a story basically right off the bat that was pretty like easy to digest. It's like, it's easy for me to digest, easy for everybody else involved. It's like, all right, these are the points, this is your character, and that kind of helps me, and then I plug in the wrestling parts, like I was able to, I basically went through the story with no notes. It was like, this is your character, these are your scenarios, act them out. And I would act them out, and I would do them. I would have the wrestling match, and then I'd be like, is that good? And then be like, people would go like, yeah, good. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm doing okay. Who knows? I never knew if no notes was good or no notes was bad. Some people told me no notes was good, and I'm like, great. So I'll just continue doing whatever it is that I'm doing, because like I had like certain amount of like control and leeway with like whatever it is. Like I would just make a creative decision in a promo, or create like a motivation for a random match that was based off my story. And I'm like, I just said this thing. Is that cool? Is everybody cool with that? And like, all right, nobody cares. Doing a thing. So I would basically like, it was a huge boon to be paired with Dasher, and given a story. I would say like working with Dasher specifically, I mean, great guy. Always had a great idea for like matches, wrestling, just sitting and listening to him and like putting matches together. I learned so much. And I still emulate him to this day. It's like beyond just I was part of a character that was related to him. Like, I emulate him just naturally, like, because I loved his matches. I loved working with him. I loved watching him, and I accidentally steal from him still to this day,
His retirement match was one of the coolest independent wrestling show moments I think I'll ever experience in my life. That just from top to bottom, that show was fantastic. And it was so much fun. And it was honestly one of the first times since like High Tension was starting to get going there early. They started going in front of crowds and stuff. Camp Leapfrog was now kind of done, and it was the first time I really got to see a lot of the Camp Leapfrog people outside of that environment and wrestling for LVAC. And it was a cool reunion. But to end your last match and break the ring on the last move, that is like hitting a grand slam walk-off home run to win the World Series. Like, there's no better way you leave right at that point, right? Like, and
then they wrestled in the broken ring like a bunch of idiots.
Yeah. I was just like, superplex, spring pops. I was like, 1, 2, 3, let's get out of here. There's no better way to end it. Like, at first I was like, how did they do that? Like, because I was like, that's too perfect to be the end.
They broke that ring. They broke the ring.
Yeah, so cool. And you guys had a really fun spot in that match in the multi-tag, where you guys wrestled Ultraman and his band just rocked out for 15 minutes while you just fought around. Sure. Awesome. Yeah. So much fun.
If they were like, do you guys want to do something at the beginning of the match? You're like, well, there's a band out there. Do you want to just like tell the band to play and we'll fight? And like, everyone's like, yeah, let's do that.
It was so awesome. I remember.
5 minutes of the match.
Yeah, it was so good. And the BP got hammered at that show because we went there. And if you have never been to Weyerbacher Brewery, I think the lowest ABV beer they've ever made was the show beer that day. It was like a normal like
Dan's beer?
7% beer, yeah, which is still high, 7%. But everything above that is like they had a Mexican lager, like a Cinco de Mayo style beer there that was 12%. I was like, what psychopaths are making this beer? Like everything was so high ABV. Everyone got hammered.
I'm like, that's the thing. Everybody has to. That's out in the middle of nowhere, and you have to drive to it. Like,
yeah,
they're messing people up.
Yeah, like the lowest ABV beer was Big Dan's beer. It was so good though. It was a real good cream ale. Really good beer. Right? Yeah, I bought like 3 or 4 4-packs of that. I nursed those because I didn't want to get rid of them fast, but they were tasty beers.
I was in the back and I'm like, where's the free beer? Like, I feel like there should just be like 4-packs for free to take, and there was none. Or something. Yeah. Dan took them all, probably.
Dan definitely took them all. My favorite heckling moment was telling Big Dan that his beer wasn't as good as Bryce's, because a few weeks before that, Bryce made a beer at Deppin's Brewery, and he made like an apple, what was it, like an apple, I want to say Hefeweizen. Or no, a wheat ale, I think. It was amazing. It was really, really good. It was called the Bryce is Right. But that was, and I was just like, hey, Big Dan, Bryce's beer is better. And Bryce is like, elbowing him. But if you have not experienced any of the LVAC shows, please go check them out. They are absolutely fun. The venues are always top notch, whether in a brewery, whether at a drive-through or at the Steel Stacks, which is one of the coolest venues with that top balcony. I love it. Yeah. So early on and then going on to your career, who are some people or some matches or some things you got to work that really stand out for you?
Matches I got to work?
Yeah. Or people like, so actually let me rephrase that and we'll go back to that. So when was your moment where it clicked, where like you worked somebody or you got to like work a name or you got to put together a match and all of that training and all the confidence just kind of clicked in that match and like your snap moment, like they like to call it, like, you know what I mean?
I know exactly the moment. It was the King of Trios 2019. We worked 2 matches that weekend, but that was like kind of like one of the first times me and Molly got to work together. I meant to say Shay. Me and Shay worked together. And like that was like the first time within Chikara we really got to like do our stuff. Like we had worked together outside of like Chikara for a bit, just to kind of like give them some like match training. Like we would pair off and like we'd just do stuff because we were like naturally in like a story together. But like our chemistry is so good that we're just like, all right, who cares what the story is? Chikara, like you just want to like keep tagging, and then like we did that, and then obviously, you know, despite the story of Chikara, we kept tagging wherever we want, and then like when that ended, like we're just like, cool, we can do whatever we want, we can just have free reign, like who cares about story anymore? And like that's how the tag team kind of like blew up. But it was kind of that weekend, King of Trios 2019. We had 2 matches that weekend where we got to tell a lot of story. I got to work with a lot of my favorite people. And it just like felt good and natural, like calling the matches. Like I felt like this was like, I'm not a rookie anymore. I have ideas. I'm part of like, I'm making these matches good too. You know, it's not just everybody's like, here's the idea of the match. What's your stuff? It's like, I had ideas and they were like, yeah, let's do that. And I'm like, okay, cool. I feel like kind of I've arrived a little bit. So it's like, it was like A, get work with Shay, and then B, like be able to like be part of like the more veteran part of calling the matches and putting the story elements and the match parts together, you know? So, and everybody had kind of like valued everybody's like opinion and positions and stuff like that. So it was a lot of good. So I worked with Fire Ant night 2 and Murloc, Oceania, Crab the day before. So Fire Ant and the Colony was night 2. So it was just,
how was that matchup? If you know, you know, that's all we'll say.
Yeah, I think you should watch it. Yeah, night 2, King of Trios. But that was Fire Ant's last match in Chikara and Bryce's last match in Chikara.
Wow. So you got the last match of Fire Ant.
Oh, no. Okay, I take that back. Second to last.
Okay.
Because they wrestled one more match. Spoiler alert, they won the match. So they advanced. Yeah.
They advanced, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was at a con not too long, like maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and at the table was a bunch of 8x10s of Chikara, all Chikara 8x10s, and there was an autographed Colony one, and I was like, taking that home. I took
which ants?
Fire Ant, Soldier Ant, and Green Ant. Yeah. And then there was Player Uno and Player Dos autographed.
Cool.
Boomer and not Pineapple Pete. The throwbacks. Oh crap! What was his,
Dasher and Touchdown.
Yes. That was one there. Deshaun when he was was it? I always forget his character's name. The Portal team. Deshaun Pratt.
Yeah. I know more Deshaun Pratt. Why am I fucking liking?
Is Ophidian?
Ophidian was the other one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm having a brain fart. Yeah, but I had that one because I got it because it was Deshaun. And I love Deshaun, but I was like, this is hilarious. Like these are
Amasis.
Yes. But these are like 8x10s of people that like their first gen characters for the most part, and like three of those people are in AEW and one's in WWE. Like that's kind of cool that like, but you don't know because they're all unmasked. But yeah, super cool. I bought those. I snatched them up right away. But yeah, I always that's my flex. I'm like, look at this autograph. Like, who is it? I'm like, if you knew, you knew.
I still don't even know. Those guys.
I have a Dark Order mask over there. The only one I'm missing is Uno.
Mm.
I have pretty much the entire Dark Order except Uno. That's like a bucket list for me.
That's the one.
Yeah, that. Well, I mean, obviously, I got it after the Brody stuff, so I'll never get Brody. But what I have Angels. I have 10. Stu, Hungy, Alex. Just need Uno. Yeah, that's once again Chikara lineage. But where was I going there? Oh, so teaming up and developing the outfielders. Was there challenges going through your career as a tag team? Because what made you is really special is you're a tag team on the independent scene, but you're an intergender tag team, which there was really nothing like that going on for the most part. Like nobody really did that where it kind of mixed the two together. Was that ever a challenge going to a promotion and being like, hey, we're an intergender tag team. Can we be a part of your tag division? Because like a lot of companies like to, they put that barrier of that up.
I would say it was a challenge. Because like we formed during like the COVID times, and obviously we formed kind of like before that. I was saying earlier, but like when like we finally just like, all right, cool, let's run with this. It was like at the start of COVID, so like we had like our select places was Camp Fleet, Pizza Party, stuff like that. It has been even to a challenge to this day to like, because the intergender, like some people like are just not into that, you know. It's like, and then we'll turn down or kind of dismiss places that are like, all right, we can do mixed tag rules, like, you know, WWE does, and like we hate that. You know, like it's like, we're not into that. So it's I'm sure it's, you know, places that have said no thank you or whatever. It could be that, it could be they're just not into our thing, but you know, I don't put too much stock in places that don't want us for whatever various reasons. You know, I tend to be like, all right, cool, you don't want us, you said no, so I will never even attempt to try and come back. You know, you didn't want us at the beginning, so I'm not going to waste my time. You know,
it's their loss because that tag team was fantastic.
Their loss, exactly.
Yeah.
So those are the challenges, but the places that have embraced us are the places that we love, and we love to do stuff there. You know.
So probably the last pro wrestling question, and we'll shift gears here and talk into some hobbies. Right now on the scene, you know, working with who are some names that you enjoy working, or some names or some promotions that people should add on their radar to start supporting or checking out?
The Rep. I mean, everybody knows the Rep, right? You know, we got to work them recently at the Wrestlers Lab, but we had like one of my favorite matches of all time. Like just working those guys, they're so fucking smart. They're so cool. And they're really, really, their heads in tag team wrestling, which is so cool. Those are two guys I want to see everywhere. Honestly, just from watching them, and then finally getting to work with them. The Creeps. Do you know the Creeps?
I've not heard of them.
They're fucking so good. You need to look them out, look their promos up, because they're so fucking good. They're not getting featured as much, and like they put so much work into their characters, their promos, their look, everything like that. They're out in the Midwest, they're down in the South. Those are two that just need to be seen.
The Creeps.
The Creeps. Yeah, they're featuring they've been getting up to Philly a little bit more for Labor of Love.
Okay.
Yeah. So like they're making the rounds. They will travel. So
there you go. Look them up. Book them. Get them more in the Northeast.
Yeah.
Any singles competitors out there?
Singles competitors. Eel O'Neill. Put that guy everywhere. And then me.
Absolutely. So besides professional wrestling and your love for the Phillies, and we already know that's going on, what are some other things that you do outside of professional wrestling that are hobbies for you or things you enjoy doing?
My browser just acted funny, so I'm going to fix that real quick. So
other
things that I love, I like comic books.
Okay.
I'm a big comic book nerd, big video game guy too, and big sports guy. So like those are kind of like my main hobbies.
Who's your go-to books?
Generic normal dude. My favorite superhero is the Flash. So
okay,
that's my guy.
Favorite Flash.
Favorite Flash is Wally West. There's no other Flash outside of that. To me, Barry Allen is like, when I started reading The Flash, it was Wally in the 90s. And, Barry was dead. Barry was just a legend, a guy who was around. Same with Hal Jordan. Kyle Rayner was Green Lantern at the time. He's still my Green Lantern. But they were just like guys who were like legends. And like, that was cool for me. I'm like, cool, there's this legacy. There's these characters like that people have to live up to. That's why I like being Boomer, by the way. Like you just have these like characters that are just like finding their own legacy. And then Jeff Johns was like, fuck that. Let's bring all the old guys back and, forget about all the cool guys from the 90s with the cooler costumes and the cooler personalities. And we're happy. And let's fuck them off and then do 15 years of nonsense. Was it
New 52 or was it Rebirth when they brought back Wally?
So Wally, they did Flash Rebirth, where Barry Keane's back after Final Crisis, and then that led into New 52, where Wally just kind of like disappeared, and then there was like DC Universe Rebirth, where like Wally showed up again, but then they like made him like a murderer.
So I didn't get too far into it. I just got to the issue where he appeared, and I was like, "Oh, that was because the way they did it, where like they kind of crossed in the Speed Force again." And he's like, "Is that who I think?" And it was like Wally. I was like, "Oh, that's super cool." And that's when they had like 5 Supermans. Like there was like 5 different Supermans all in the same universe. I was like, "This is really confusing."
They did this weird thing with Wally where he was like, might have killed somebody. It ended up being he didn't do that because they sparred up. But like now, Wally in the current Flat-ish run, Wally's the guy again. Barry is like fucked off and he's doing his own thing. Wally is the Flash in the comic book again, and suddenly it got good and everybody's like, oh, we want to read Flash again. I wonder why,
Yeah, because Wally's back.
Yeah. The writing and the art suddenly got better too. It's like,
have you ever wrestled Flash Carter yet?
No. I've been friends with him, but I've talked to him.
Yeah. Good kid.
He does this thing.
Yeah. Fighting for who's the bigger Flash fan. So besides Flash, what else do you read?
Green Lantern, Nightwing, Daredevil, Miss Marvel. There's a lot of my books that I read a lot.
Okay. So you lean more DC?
I'm lean more DC for the longest time. But then I started working in a comic book store after college. So I'm like, I guess I'll start reading the Marvel. I'll give these kids a chance. And then I started reading Ultimate Spider-Man. And that became my favorite comic book of all time.
Spider-Man's amazing.
I love Ultimate. I love Bendis. I love the Ultimate Universe. And they're trying to bring that back. It's kind of failing. But and I'm like, I guess I'll read like main Marvel stuff too. And then I got into like regular Amazing Spider-Man and Daredevil and Miss Marvel and stuff like that. So Deadpool's kind of cool too.
Spider-Man and Daredevil are probably my two favorites on the Marvel side. DC, I'm a Batman guy. Like anything Batman universe, I'm in. So Batman, Nightwing, Robin, all that.
I'm everything but regular Batman.
Really? I've
always been a Robin guy. I love Dick Grayson, Tim Drake, Jason Todd could fuck off, but
well, he's kind of cool as Hood. On my one jacket, I have a denim jacket, and down the whole one sleeve is every Bat Family emblem.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I love it. I love my Batman. And then like now that the Marvel universe is kind of picking back up, hopefully DC is, but that latest Flash movie, yikes.
I'm not gonna watch it.
It's not good. It's not good at all.
I'm not. So like I never got into like the animated. Like I love the old Justice League cartoon and the old like Superman, Batman cartoon, but I never got into the Young Justice. I never got into like the new stuff, and then I never got into the movies. Like I've seen some of them, like the Batman versus Superman, but I'm like, this is stupid. Like, and I just.
Hopefully, this new reboot.
Got like, good. That happened. Wonder Woman, that happened. Aquaman, that happened. But I don't know. Like as a DC guy, I should have cared about those things, but I didn't at all.
I like Patterson as the Patterson Batman was pretty good. I thought it was a good year one style Batman movie without going into the origin story again. But I just the new Flash did not land for me. But the Marvel, I'm excited because now they have the rights to most of their characters back, so we get Blade back, which is exciting. My biggest team.
You're a Blade guy?
I like Blade as a character. The Wesley Snipes as a character. Like they were sick. They were the good Marvel movies before Marvel movies were good. But I really love Fantastic Four, and I want a good Fantastic Four movie series like that.
Absolutely.
I love Fantastic Four. So hopefully that's done well because Doctor Doom is. I'm sorry, everyone says Joker. Joker's a great villain. Everyone says all these great villains. Doctor Doom is the greatest comic book villain. I don't care what anyone tells you.
A million times. I hate the Joker. I hate the Joker.
He's overdone. It's overdone.
Every villain is better than the Joker.
Yeah, he's overdone.
He's not the best Batman villain. Mr. Freeze, the Riddler.
Okay. I love Clayface, but they never use him.
Clayface, I mean, in the Harley Quinn cartoon is awesome.
Yeah, the Harley Quinn cartoon is very, very good. I like how they make fun of Bane.
Clayface I would have expected, but I love it.
Yeah, I love how they still make fun of Bane. They're like, we can't understand you.
No, going back to the Flash has my favorite villains. I love the Rogues Gallery. Because the connection of Flash and his villains is so transposed with Batman's relationship with his villains.
Mm-hmm.
Like Batman is like the cop and the villains are the crazy people and like who's making who crazy, but Flash is like he has this is why I like Wally more than Barry too, because Wally has a more human connection with his villains. He learned them. He knows them on a personal level versus Barry is just like, these are the bad guys. I got to take care of the bad guys. Wally's like, I'm going to understand the bad guys. And I've always appreciated that.
Who's the monkey? The big ape. Yeah. He's a cool character. Yeah, he's a cool character. He doesn't. When they put him in the TV show, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be fun." But then, the TV show was really, really good. But what ruined it for me is when they kept doing the crossover with Arrow. I hated the Arrow.
You're talking about the CW.
The CW Flash I enjoyed, but the Arrow show was like, we want a Batman show, but we don't have the rights to Batman, so we're just gonna make Arrow as close to Batman as we possibly can and try to get as many his villains in there as possible. And I was like, this. And then when they did like the Arrow meets the Ra's al Ghul's family, and Ra's al Ghul wants the Arrow to be the heir to the throne, I'm like, I'm done. I'm out of here. It's like, I hate this. Like, you are trying so hard to be a Batman TV show without being Batman. But I like the Arrow. I mean the Flash show to a point, but I probably have to go back and finish it again. But yeah, I think the what?
The Doom Patrol show. Have you watched
Is that
any
good?
of that?
I have not.
I've watched half the first season, and it's so fucking good.
I have to check that one out. I have to start watching The Boys. Everyone says The Boys is really good.
I haven't watched any of that. No.
Yeah, they said that was pretty cool. Is the Doom Patrol the one with Nightwing in it? Isn't that have Nightwing in it?
Nightwing has like Cyborg in it.
No, what was the show? What's the adult like the more adult themed show that has
Titans.
Nightwing in it?
Titans.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was that any good? Did you watch that at all?
I've not watched that. No.
I heard Nightwing and that was really cool, but the rest of the stuff was kind of bad. I like the Swamp Thing show, and they kind of scrapped that one.
They did, yeah.
It was so good. They said they're making a Swamp Thing movie, and it's supposed to be horror based. Like, it's going to be a horror based DC.
As it should
movie.
be. As it should be. Yeah.
Which is like,
really should be. Yeah, that's the best way to do Swamp Thing.
Yeah, they did a whole like reboot path, I guess, after the Flash, and this new Aquaman is going to be when the new DC universe kicks in, and they're going to get all new people and do stuff. But the one they talked about was Son of Superman, which is like, I guess that's going to be the first Superman movie we're going to get. Is like a Son of Superman. Oh no, not Son of Superman. Damian Wayne and Batman are going to be the first Batman movie we're getting, but they don't know who's going to play Batman, but it's going to be Damian and Batman, which hasn't been done on screen yet, which I'm excited for. And then they said Swamp Thing, which is exciting.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. I think the last book though that I read was The Last Ronin for Ninja Turtles. That was fucking amazing. Did you read that one yet?
I've not. No, not yet.
I don't know if you're a big Turtles person.
It's Wrath too, right? That's supposed to be the turtle, right? Or is it like we don't know?
I mean, I'll spoiler alert for people.
Yeah, you spoil it. Yeah,
it's Michael. It's Mikey.
Okay, all right. It's either Mikey or Wrath. I figured.
Yeah, Mikey. It's my. I think it's the end of the second comic or the end of the first is like he has all the weapons there, and it's just like, and he's just like he's gonna off himself, and then they're like, you can't do that, Mikey, or something. I was like, oh, it's Mikey.
Okay, so like there was a thing where they didn't reveal who it was, which turtle it was. Okay.
Yeah, they do. They do very early, and then after they reveal, then you start learning that it's like 100 years into the future or 60 years into the future. So like April's gone. You think April's supposedly gone, Casey's gone, Shredder's gone, but it's like Shredder's nephew or something or son. But it's like a whole cyberpunk world where like Shredder has now is like the form of government, and it's crazy. It's a lot of fun. They're supposed to be making a video game based off it. But video game wise, what do you like to play?
A lot of kind of JRPGs. So that's kind of like my genre. I don't do a lot of like shooters or sports games or stuff like that, but like a lot of like I just finished up Xenoblade Chronicles 3 on the Switch. That took me 160 hours to beat, and I loved it. Those are the games I like though. Like I like the games that take me like 100 hours to beat.
Yeah.
The Tales of Xillia was another game that I played recently, and I love that game. So
my ADHD kicks in, and I try to play too many games at one time, and then I don't finish other ones.
I've been good the last 2 years where it's just like, don't play anything else.
Hyper focus.
Focus, beat it, and then move on. Forget about it. Don't go back and like try to like play like all the other shit in the game. Like just you beat it, move on.
I start playing story games, and then it's just like, hey, do you want to jump on and play a couple games of Fortnite, or do you want to jump on and play a couple of games of Call of Duty, or like those quick, you could just jump in and play with your friend games, and then it ruins me for my story games. Right now, I'm playing a lot of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the video game.
So is that going to survive? Like, I feel like it seemed like they were like going to kill like
it's so much fun. It's so much fucking fun. So they're making they made the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Then the same company's making a Killer Clowns from Outer Space, so that's being made. And then the people who've been making like the Heavy Rains and the Quarry and Detroit, like those style games, they're getting a Ghostface game where it's going to be like you have to figure out who goes. I don't think it's to be called the Scream game, because I think Scream rights and Ghostface rights are two different things. But Ghostface itself is going to get a game where you have to like pick and choose your scenario, and it's like watching a movie style game. So that's coming out soon, which I'm pretty excited for. This is gonna be a better conversation with Shay later, because Shay's the heart.
Oh, yes, absolutely. But so like those are your style. That's like you like the shooters, like the third person. Okay, yeah.
I used to be into sports games, and I just got so bored with them because they never changed from year to year.
They never do.
So I gave up. The RPGs, like, they're really cool until they get too complicated. Once a game gets too complicated, I'm out.
I love
No,
complicated.
hey, I don't want to have to calculate math in my head to find out how my hit points are. Too much.
Yeah. No, that's my bread and butter. You know,
Yeah.
I love being hyper fixated on a game and just forgetting about the rest of everything.
Do you
else.
Mostly just play the Switch, or is that your go-to system?
Switch tends to be. It's usually like I'll play like older games on the Xbox. Like I got the Xbox One, but Switch is like kind of just. I don't need like super gritty games. Like, so Switch usually it gives me more of that kind of fluffy, fun games. So
yeah,
even though they're serious, but like they're colorful.
I'm still sitting on Pokemon. I got to finish Pokemon.
Which one?
Is it Scarlet? Is that the newest one?
Is it?
I think so. I don't know. I own it. I have not gotten very far into it.
I stopped at XY.
Oh wow, yeah. I buy every year's game, but I just never finish them.
I'm way behind. Man.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say something else, but finish your thought first.
No, I lost it. Go ahead.
Okay. So I was actually gonna get close to wrapping up here. So where can people find you on social media, merch pages, or anything, or promotions that you work at a lot that they can go and watch either online or come to shows live?
So go to High Tension Wrestling. Go to Wrestlers Lab. Pizza Party. Those are like my favorite jaunts these days. And you can find.
Where's Pizza Party based out of?
Pizza Party is based out of everywhere. Usually Jersey, but they'll do shows in PA. They're going to do a show at the Restival this year up in like Massachusetts. So
they were another one during the pandemic that they were putting together really fun things. Like I was like that's a promotion I want to go check out, but I just never had the opportunity to.
That was the first place I got to wrestle unmasked. I did a character unmasked on one of their shows. So
that's awesome.
That was like my pre-trial, but like nobody knew. Like some people knew it was me, but like most people didn't know.
What was the name you used?
God, what's his name? Rip Rocket. I was a proponent for the rocket fuel sports drink. That was my character.
Well, you don't have any like distinguishing tattoos, so you can get away with it.
Yeah. But they finally saw my goofy hair and giant teeth for real. So saw like the eyes through the whole. Like I was like, oh, that's the same fucking guy.
Yeah. It's like the Batman. Like we have no idea what that is. Yeah.
I wrestled Travis in a very lucha match with all my regular moves. So.
Like we know him.
Anybody with a brain would have known. So I gave it away for free too early. But you can find me at Weber Hatfield on X, Twitter, and Hatfield FC on Instagram. Don't friend me on Facebook because I'm not going to accept it. I just don't use Facebook.
Yeah, I'm slowly trying to get away from it. If I didn't have to promote this podcast, I would.
If I didn't have to accept promoters' DMs, sometimes I would delete that thing.
Yeah, pretty much same. Merch pages. Are you guys on Pro Wrestling Tees? I know there's a Brain Busters that people are using. Do you have your own?
So Hatfield and McCoy at Big Cartel. If you go to our Twitter, X, there's a link that'll send you there.
It'll all be below as well, so you can check the links below.
Yes, I'll send you that.
I have two shirts. I have the 3/4 shirt.
The best one. I wore that today.
I have that one, and I have the NWO one.
The other best one.
Yeah.
I've never been able to come up with better shirts than that.
But thank you so much for this. I really appreciate you having on. I know this is something you don't do very often. So I appreciate your time, and especially taking time away from your beloved Phillies. But
it's all right. They lost. Who cares?
Who they lose to?
The Pirates today. It's all right. It was like our C squad.
I was gonna say, aren't the Pirates like terrible?
The Pirates are trying their best. I don't like to talk shit. If they're the Mets, fuck the Mets. That's it.
All right. I think Deppin's a Pirates fan, right? He likes the Pirates.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a big Pirates guy. He actually, his new shirt, what's that? Stiff Blade. They made like baseball jerseys. They made a Pirates themed baseball jersey for him. Yeah, they're really cool looking.
Jerseys. Yeah.
Yeah, they were super cool. But yeah, that'll do it. Make sure you check the links below, and we'll see you guys on the next episode, which will be episode 90. I'm not giving it away. You have to find out later in the week. We'll air it then, and you'll find out.
Can you tell me though?
90
After this?
is yeah, I'll tell you after this. Here's some music by the Converse Kid. If you're looking for music, logos, anything like that, the people I work with, all in the links below on my page, so you can get some really cool stuff done and music. So here's some Converse Kid. We're out of here. I'm just kidding. I'll let you guys know right now.